Amazing. Yeah, that sounds good. Just for a little bit of context for everyone coming in now or tuning in, this is the first episode or first workshop of Monkey Sessions or Foundry Sessions. However, we just dropped the Monkey Foundry. This will be a show that we have at least on a monthly basis. If we can do it more consistently, the better. But essentially, it's just an opportunity for subject matter experts to come in, share their experience on what they're working on, and help grantees as well as projects going through the Monkey Foundry to go to market. That being said, Maurice, I'm going to pass it off to you. Maybe start with a quick introduction, and then you can kind of just take control.
Cool. So we have the grantees here. We have everyone we want. I should just get the ball rolling. That's what I heard, but I'm just double checking.
Yeah, I think we're good to get started.
Sweet. All right. Well, my name's Maurice. If you whoever that was, thank you, Tebow. Appreciate that very much. I assume you can see my screen. So today we're going to talk about content branding and best practices. But before we even get to that point, I figured, why don't I give you a little bit of background so you could understand who I am, qualify, for loss of a better way to put it, because there's a lot of people in crypto who are anonymous. There's a lot of people in our space who kind of, I don't want to say LARP around, but, go around talking a big game. And I like to show, don't tell. So, my name is Maurice. I'm an artist and a builder. I've been a growth professional in Web3 for going on 5 years now. Before joining Solflare, where I'm the current content lead, I worked on a bunch of the stuff you see on your screen. So, Monkey DAO, my alma mater. I was part of the elected executives, helped with the Gen 3 mint and the IP buyout. And I've been a member of Monkey DAO since 2021. I actually have my original DM. I think it was from Jemmy saying, "You're welcome to join the Discord," and that I cherish that little DM forever. I've been a consultant or an advisor to multiple projects. You can see some of them in the upper left-hand corner. Sniper, which recently got bought out by Phantom. Torque, Yonta Labs, Pesky Penguins, ISK, which a lot of you may know from Eno, Banks, Q1 2024 to April, May, June of this year, I worked for Lulo. I led growth over there. I'll explain what that means in a second, which should also help some of you guys who are going through the Monkey Foundry or looking to, get your project spun up. Super Team Germany was one of my favorite projects I worked with through my consultancy, and big fan of the Germans. Lots of Germans in Mustache DAO, lots of Germans in Monkey DAO. I am a big fan. So let's keep it moving. So what is growth in Web3? Marketing, which has many different aspects to it, but marketing, go-to-market, branding, content creation, so written and visual, social media management, business development, communications, community building, and so much more. I've worn all of these hats, especially in my role with Lulo, and now with my role at Solflare. My core focus is our overall content strategy, our overall tone and voice, the way that we're communicating, the way that we're approaching the future and our future goals. So what is marketing, right? Marketing is core to what you guys are trying to learn about, right? Content creation and brand identity for launching your product or launching your token or launching your project requires a lot more underneath than simply, a logo or a mascot or something to that nature. Marketing is multifaceted and requires a bunch of different things, but when you boil it down, it's creating and delivering value to satisfy customer needs by understanding their desires, crafting suitable products or services, and effectively promoting them to build relationships and highlight the company's values. Why I think that's so important is because if we're going to talk about brand building, we also have to understand before we even talk about brand, who's your target audience, what's your end goal, what resonates with you as a founder or a builder, and then where are you going to actually like communicate with that audience. And in crypto, the number one distribution channel is X. So, this is what we're going to do is three tips and tricks that I think are like some of the most important to building your brand and kind of taking your project to the next level on the timeline. And then we'll talk about some reply guy strategies, because that, in my opinion, is going to be one of the easiest ways or one of the most important ways for you to build your brand persona, get some eyeballs on your project. And then we can also talk about some of the other things Benny asked me to touch on, which were content creation and formats, prepping for launches, making the most of your content, and then defining your brand identity. So not all of that is in the presentation, but I can talk about all of it and would love to throughout this session. So I want to start here, which is tips and tricks to go from 0 to 100. Yes, it says crypto Twitter, but this is general overall brand building. I would say for anyone in any industry, but in particular for crypto, I think it's of the utmost importance for your marketing to be human powered. You want to brand build from a point of the idea that people respond to other people way better than they do to a marketing material, right? That's why founder led marketing is this big concept in crypto and in tech in general, because people resonate more with faces, with people, with names. So I would encourage everyone to humanize your marketing, understand your user base, feed them what they want and not what you think they need, right? There's all of this, like, for the last few years, we've been hearing about bridging the gap. And I understand it, but I'm more in the realm of thought of meeting people where they are. I think it's way more powerful to go to someone and meet them where they are than ask them to come to you, to meet you where you want them to go. Eventually, they're going to come to where you want if you can resonate with them appropriately. So this ties into the brand identity, right? How do you define your project's identity? I think this is where you start. You start with being human and finding a way to differentiate yourself to a certain extent, right? What's your end goal? Number two would be microwave meals. This I have to actually give credit to Benny. Fun fact: Benny and I have worked together in multiple arenas, whether it was with Monkey DAO or the Build the Monkey DAO grant program, which is now Monkey Foundry. But Benny also worked with me at Sumo, and something that we realized was that hi April, Chewy, I give me 1 second. I'm so sorry.
No worries, no worries. Just want to throw out as well, if anyone has questions, feel free to write them down or DM me or throw it in the chat. We will have a lot of time at the end for Q&A to go over all of the presentation as well as any other individual questions. Microwave meals, to be honest, I somewhat remember what Maurice is talking about here. We had a conversation about content, and I think I threw out an analogy that might be where it's going, but to be honest, not totally sure.
Did everyone get to hear me get upset? I hope
No, it's okay.
Well, Chat video. Oh, I can't turn my video back on because there's too many people, but whatever. So as I was saying, this concept of microwave meals came up with Benny. So we were developing a marketing strategy or talking about content, and we realized that the longer the threads, the more information there was for someone to consume, the harder it was to actually get that message across. So boiling down your content to the bare bones is sometimes the most effective approach, because it's really safe to assume that people are lazy, not reading everything, moving too fast, um, just looking for the answers rather than trying to understand what you are marketing. So that would be my second tip or trick. And then the third is spaghetti on the wall. Experiment. Even this presentation is a bit of an experiment. Don't just mindlessly copy people. Try to insert your brand, your vibe, your feeling, your version of something. But don't hesitate to make mistakes. Don't hesitate to try things out. Don't hesitate to throw spaghetti on the wall. Just keeping it really simple like that, I think, is a really powerful thing for people to wrap their head around. Benny and I were talking about, like, what are some of the things that hold projects back, or where do people trip up in the beginning phases of their marketing development. And it's the idea that, like, everything has to be a banger, or everything has to have a massive impact. And it doesn't, right? A lot of the time you will find your groove by doing the groove, by experimenting, by trying things out. So let's move forward in, like, this presentation was originally made for a Twitter best practices and also a tips and tricks for taking your project from 0 to 100. And I mixed them together. And now I want to talk about reply guying, because when we're talking about launching your product, or prepping for launch, or making the most out of your content, I actually think one of the most important things you can do is be really, really active on the timeline and add value. What does adding value look like? In my opinion, it's comedic, informational, educational, inspirational. You could be controversial, but I'm going to assume that most people don't want their brand associated with negativity. So I would avoid negativity and stick to the comedy. Reducing repetition is really important, and being intentional is really important. You can be repetitive and intentional, but it requires a lot of skill and practice, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. Don't just copy and paste images for posts. That seems pretty straightforward, but a lot of projects will just go find imagery, throw it into AI, or not even throw it into AI, and then, use that as their marketing materials. People can tell when something has gotten a little more effort, or a little more time, or a little more care. So, that kind of goes back to the intentionality. Getting your replies in early on big accounts, or targeting big accounts, is really important. And then customizing memes or GIFs when possible. I'm sure everyone in here has seen the plethora of Monkey DAO memes and GIFs. I'm not responsible for all of them, but I know I made a lot of them when I was an executive, and they do major they provide major benefits when brand building for Monkey DAO, and it gives people a way to communicate their values, or their emotions, or their thoughts while referencing Monkey DAO, and it builds Monkey DAO brand, and it gives you something, to communicate with. So how can you make these changes? Like, how can you apply these golden rules to your strategy, it would be using X Pro, which is formerly known as TweetDeck, make custom memes and GIFs, and then obviously love and attention, which I know all of you excel at. So this is what TweetDeck looks like. I'm going to show you the difference between, let's go to my personal account and then X Pro, which is under premium. So X Pro organizes your timeline by categories, and it shows you stuff that's more timely. So it organizes it by the latest release. So let's see, 2 minutes ago, the Solana post, you could see that just came out 7 minutes ago from Gemini. So I have these different columns that I've created that give me the ability to organize my timeline in a better fashion. Now, this is super advantageous when you're trying to grow an account, when you're trying to do brand building, because ultimately, brand at the end of the day is not a logo, it's not a visual, it's not a colorway, it's an emotional reaction. And how do you elicit that emotional reaction? You need to connect with people. One of the best ways for you to connect with people is to engage with their content. So you can get in on big accounts early. This is a really great way to do that. So like for Gemini, you could get a reply in here now. And because you were early in the replies, there's a higher likelihood of other people seeing your account. For the builders in the crowd who are in the Foundry program and trying to take their product to market on Solana, I would target people like Mert. I would target people from the foundation. I would target people that have loud voices, but those targets are going to be individual for each project or each account or each, what's your end goal, right? So for me, you can build these lists and you can build these columns in a multitude of ways. You could do lists, which on Twitter are where is my lists? Huh. Interesting. Lists were here. More lists. So you could build these lists yourself. Mine are private. I'm sorry, I'm not sharing them. But you could also see like ZachXPT has a KOL wall of shame. These are probably accounts you don't want to engage with, but you could watch them to see what they do. But I have different lists that help me organize my timeline because I'm busy. I don't want to go scroll the regular timeline and see a ton of stuff that doesn't interest me. And this allows me to really like hone in on what I'm trying to view. So for me, my list, and I wonder if it's just because the screen isn't bigger. Let's see. Yeah. Think no, either way, lists. So you could build lists a few different ways. You can go, you could like create a new list here, create list, and add people that way. Or while you're scrolling, let's say Crypto Bay, this is my friend Sasha. I don't want notifications on for her, but I could add her to a list. So what I would add her to would be CT marketers, because I know she works in crypto and she's a marketer. So these lists become really powerful when you're trying to grow your account, when you're trying to brand build. Targeting appropriately will make a night and day difference. You could also do searches. So these are search queries, which I'll share with you guys afterwards. But for those search queries, for instance, I have what is the best Solana wallet, right? This is a bad search. So this is a bad example. I'm going to delete that column, but this is a good example. So this search is X stocks and Solana in the same post, and I have the search to avoid spam and advertisement. And so I could see the latest. I could see it. I could organize it by like the top posts, or I could organize it by the latest, or people, or media, so on and so forth. Um, it makes it really easy to hone in on specific topics. So, for instance, if you are building a DPIN project, you could create a search that is like people mentioning DPIN and Solana, and then you're able to target those people and get way better engagement and way better eyeballs on your project. Someone is Crypto. Can you mute yourself, please? I keep hearing you make noises, and it's honestly making me crazy. All right, I'm muting you. Back to the presentation. So, I know a lot of people will go to Twitter and scroll this way, but if you are on desktop, I would highly recommend you use X Pro. It'll make a massive difference, and you can also then target people much better. Search query, I'll share with you guys. So next steps, and I think this all ties into brand building. Start leveraging X Pro. Be the first in comments on big accounts. This was for the Solflare presentation, but I would fix this and say, can you be the first on Monkey posts? Right? Monkey DAO has great reach. If you're a Monkey Foundry builder and you want to grow your account and get attention and align your vision and values with Monkey DAO, target Monkey DAO. Get in on their posts. Make or improve your list. So KOLs, projects, partners, friends. Something that you'll see with my. So I'll add a column here. So one of my columns would be from my list, and it would be like DeFi on Solana, not my profile list. And let's go DeFi on Solana. So this now is going to bring me let's go wide. So this is going to bring me the latest posts from everyone I have in this list, which is tons of DeFi projects. And I would then be the first reply to Brady if I, wanted to. Or, here we go, the Solana post, so on and so forth. Partners and friends, that's a great thing. And I'll touch on that in a moment. And then targets. Are there any groups or people that you want to get attention from? I feel like this all circles back to brand identity and how to define that. Part of defining that is knowing who you want to align with. Jumping on daily trends is an interesting strategy. So you can see I have this Grok search from yesterday, but let's try it again. What's trending today on X? And then this can help you find ways or find topics or things that you want to touch on or post about. I think a lot of projects get caught up in the idea that they have to constantly post about what they're building or constantly post about what their product is going to do or ecosystem commentary or whatever it is. When in reality, a lot of the time, the best ways to build brand, the best ways to get attention are going to be completely unrelated to your project. So I'll give you a really recent example. So the other day at Solflare, we playing around and we did this draw this like Mert needs hair post. And essentially, like, this was an experiment, right? I threw spaghetti on the wall. But what does this do? This aligns our brand with Solana builders. This aligns our brand with positive players. This aligns our brand with Solana itself, right? And it also aligns our brand with wanting to have fun and not taking ourselves too seriously. 71K views, 1.4K likes. This was very low effort with very high impact, right? We drew on Mert's head for a few hours, and the end result was something I think Benny would relate to, a seeker in his pocket and a Zin in his breast pocket, and a bunch of really funky hair with some pit vipers on. But the point of this is to show you that, brand building does not always look and feel how you might think it would look and feel. And this ended up being like really powerful, right? It's silly, it's fun, it's not taking ourselves too seriously, and it is making people laugh, right? If we go back to what I was saying about adding value, this was adding value, right? In a way that you wouldn't necessarily assume, right? Like, people forget the power of memes and mimetics and the power of making someone laugh. At the end of the day, like, if you aren't making people feel something, they're not going to remember you. That was one of the things that I like really felt so adamantly about Monkey DAO, was the way it made me feel. And the way it made me feel was a result of not only like seeing the tweets or seeing the brand, the logos and the imagery and PFPs, but it was the community, and it was the way that we coalesced around stuff together. Reject Humanity, Return to Monkey. Like, there was all of these things that coalesced together to give me this emotional reaction. So jump on trends and have fun and experiment, and then ask for feedback, right? Like, you could even ask your community for feedback. You could ask your Twitter timeline for feedback. A big thing that I brought up earlier, which was, customized memes and GIFs, custom memes and GIFs. We just started to do this at Solflare, and we've done a ton of this for Monkey DAO, and you guys can all do this for your brands, right? For Solflare right now, we don't have a map, but we have our logo, and we have a few sayings, and we have a few concepts, like in every wallet a kingdom, on every head a crown. So we have these really cool crown meme PNG files, and I'm throwing them on GIFs and memes, and there we go. We have a place to start. You can elevate this extensively by having a designer, but I do also understand that in the beginning of your growth and in the beginning of your project development, you might not be able to afford a designer or to pay someone to do graphics. So I can also share some tips and tricks on doing this affordably. So how to improve your reply guy content: add value, comedy, education, information. Develop your own voice. So your voice and tone is going to look different than everyone. Not everyone is going to look and feel the same. Utilize your branding, not the Solflare branding. So color, logo, colorways, motifs. Be topical. Again, that goes back to maybe finding trends as they're happening. SPX seems to be a trend today, and a bunch of other things I want to avoid posting about. But that being said, sometimes trends are positive and good to jump on. Yesterday's trends were Ariana Grande, SpaceX, Taylor Swift. I mean, a Taylor Swift post yesterday or even today could be a banger way to get attention. And avoid basic GMs, and avoid copying and pasting images produced by other accounts without editing them. Obviously, I think it's obvious, but it's not always obvious. Not all of these rules are set in stone. There are times when you want to break those rules, and times when you don't. That's the basics of the presentation. But I also want to make sure, Benny, that like I actually directly address some of the questions that you brought up in the notes. So I don't know how you want to manage the rest of this. Do you want to go back and forth with me? Do you want me to just kind of like talk about those questions you asked? I've touched on a bunch of it already, but there's a lot more that I could dig into, and we have plenty of time.
Yeah,
And I
I
do
think
examples and whatever.
I think we can open up a Q&A segment, and then if there are any lulls and questions, then we can go into some of the ones I sent to you. So if anyone has any questions, any grantees, any Monkey Foundry incubatees, then feel free to throw it in the chat or unmute. I'll open up with one question, which is, how often do you think projects should be posting on Twitter? And when it comes to filler post and filler content, any guidance there? I think a lot of projects oftentimes fall into the common pitfall of overthinking every post that needs to go out needs to be a banger. But any advice on not only like consistency of posts, but also how to generate these filler posts?
Absolutely. And I have that in my notes, so I was very prepared to talk about it. So my golden rule is ideally 4 posts a day would be the minimum. But if you can't do that, it would be once in the morning and once in the evening, or once in the afternoon. Prime time on crypto Twitter is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday on East Coast Standard Time. I know we're global. I know we do announcements in UTC, but unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to cut it up, the reality is the most viewership and the best time to get engagement is going to be Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 p.m. on the Eastern Standard Time. Now, that was part of your question, Benny. What was the other part? Oh, filler content. So this is another time that X Pro comes in really, really handy, because you could set up these columns and you can do a bunch of, market research, content research. Notables is one of my most active lists. This is where I have like people that I want to emulate, people that I want to learn from. And it really provides a awesome opportunity to discover content that you can remake for your own. A saying I love, 2 sayings that I love are: mimicry is the utmost form of flattery, and good artists copy and great artists steal. Most people with their marketing aren't using completely original ideas. Even the Mert hair post, we saw, I forgot who it was, but someone did it with Jesse Pollock from Base, and we thought, well, Mert is a better fit for this. Let's do it with Mert. So we did. In terms of ways to do filler content, this, I can't tell you what it's about, but like, this is filler content. DFDV posted something. They're a partner of Solflare. So I did a little cutie, emoji quote tweet. Sometimes these copy pastas are phenomenal ways to do filler posts. 10K impressions, 167, 54 comments. I'd say that's pretty much a win for filler content. And oftentimes, all hail me. I don't like that. Oftentimes these kinds of posts can provide some of the greatest results. I'm trying to find some other examples. I wanted to share something that was, I'll have to find, I'll get to it. But here, more filler posts. Look, 23K views. We're quote tweeting Solana with exactly what they did. So I'm breaking my own rule here, but it felt appropriate. And then in the replies, we used we used GIFs, and then we played with that emoticon. So Superfly, Solana, Solflare, a bunch Sup Fam, Sunday Chilling, just have fun with it. People can tell when you are enjoying the content that you're putting out. And that's part of that emotional resonance and the brand building. I think it's super powerful. So yeah, I hope that gave you a good answer.
Yeah, no, that was a great overview. Tebow asks what meme maker slash customizer to use. And I think this is a great question because one thing you touched on is branded reply guy materials. That was something I saw you do with Lulo, and I think every project should be doing it.
Yeah. So for the branded content, so Image Flip is a great resource. One second, I'm so sorry. I am pulling up I'm trying to see if I could screen share my phone. Image Flip. So can everyone still see my screen? Yeah. So Image Flip, you can pay for an account or you can use their free version. The free version is going to put a little uh, watermark, but if you pay for the account, you could get rid of the watermark, and this allows you to find memes that fall under a bunch of different categories. So like you could just go excitement, and find a meme that fits. Look, Oprah, always a good one. The other thing with this is you can find GIFs. So you'd have to look a little harder, but sometimes, well, there are a lot of GIFs. You just have to find them. The other tool that I would recommend is GIF. This is on iOS and Android. GIF. And GIF allows you to, yeah, it's only on mobile, but this is the app, and I will share it in the in-call messages just so you guys can go find it on your own. Did that answer the question, Benny?
Yes, sir. Klasu asks any golden tips how to beat the X algo.
Yeah, so there is no beating the X algo, but what I can tell you is that the X algorithm gives you points based on your engagement. So the more likes you get, the more replies you get, the basically the more engagement you get, the more reach your post will get. I know that's super obvious, but it's interesting how the other side the other side of that too is X wants to encourage conversations. So actually doing that reply guy content and actually engaging with other people's posts is going to boost your own content. Um, I don't really think there's a way to beat the X algo, but I would say that there are easy ways to not be punished by the algo. So I'll post it in here, which is no more than post per hour on your own timeline. And reply guy all day. Those are two ways to get really good treatment from the algorithm. One thing I would say though is like once you get big enough, for instance, Tolly can tweet multiple times in an hour and it doesn't impact his engagement. But I'm gonna use JW as an example because I love him. He the other day was posting multiple times in 1 hour. Nothing got any engagement. Um, let's see if I can find an example. It's going to be a little hard. Well, either way, don't post more than once an hour until you have a million followers, and that will be plenty of time for most of you to work. Yeah, what else?
Awesome. Recent Build with Monkey DAO grantee We Rate asks, do you need a full-time SMM slash reply guy?
we raise. Let's look at your profile. Follow back. I'll follow you back, bro. Sorry, do you need a full-time social media manager? That was the question.
Flash reply guy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you could afford it, I would say a lot of founders in the beginning can manage it on their own. I definitely support hiring social media people and reply guys. We have we have 5 or 6 people right now at Solflare who work on socials in different capacities. At Lulo, I ran it. Benny helped me part time, and then I had a reply guy, and it was just me and the reply guy. So 2 people, but I was also doing BD com. I was doing all of this stuff on top of it. So it's perfectly feasible to manage in a small team, but I don't know if you quote unquote need one. It's a matter of whether you could fill the gap without.
Yeah, maybe some advice on leading a team like that, as from your experience in Web3 Sumos. But I know that you have a wide array of team. And then Thiz, I'll pass it to you after this.
Yeah, so project management is really interesting, and like there are big companies that just have people that project manage and do nothing but manage a PM board. I'm a huge fan of Notion and setting up like Notion calendars. I cannot show you, I can't show you any of my Notion calendar ClickUp calendars right now, but it's super useful. So I would recommend Notion, Notion for PM management, and then the next best would be ClickUp.
Awesome. Go ahead, Thiz. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Oh,
what's up, Maurice?
Hey, Thiz, final thing just to finish Benny's question. Most importantly, more important than Notion or ClickUp or a PM platform, is planning content ahead of time and having a backstock of content. So if you have an idea bank or meme bank or let's call it ammunition, it makes it way easier for you to deal with the day-to-day social media management and just general company management when you don't have to think about producing content on the day that you want to push the content. That was my final comment on that. Thiz, what's up, dude?
What is going on? How you doing?
I'm very well, brother. I'm very well.
Cool. Hey, really cool session. I didn't really know what exactly this was going to be, but like, oh my God. I mean, I pay for premium. I didn't even know X Pro existed until now. I mean, that alone is like utility for this whole thing. So thanks for putting this together. I appreciate it.
You got
it. 2 questions about the algo, sort of. Oh no, before the algo thing. So here's something that I've kind of been struggling with, is that you put stuff out on Twitter, and I'm talking about not your personal Twitter, but maybe for a project. And you're tracking impressions and comments and all that other kind of stuff. But I've landed on the main thing that matters to me is increasing your follower count. And if you get like 10,000 impressions and don't get one new follower, then something's going wrong. Is that a fair statement?
I mean, yeah. So like my guess there is you're probably not adding value, right? So you're not incentivizing people to follow you back, or you're not incentivizing people to give a fuck about your profile. I mean, at the end of the day, there are lots and lots and lots of people out there trying to grow their account who spam, and they don't realize they're spamming, or they don't think of it as spamming. but if you go on Twitter and you see some of the GM posts and all you say back to them is GM, is that really adding value? I don't think so, but I still do it as well sometimes. Sometimes I just want someone to feel like they're getting support from me. Sometimes I just want to be in that conversation. But, I think like at the end of the day, if you follow these reply guy goals, your account will grow. We grew, and granted, like, some of like this example isn't entirely fair because like there was a good product and stable coins were hot last year, but I grew Lulo from 0 to 18K followers, no points program, no influencers, no paid advertisement, no paid engagements, just pure brand and product marketing and a fuck ton of reply guy, like just constant, probably 7 days a week of reply guy. And Lulo, since I left, has not really done much on their timeline. But Lulo, pre-June 2025 is a great example of how I would manage a Twitter account. So I'm going to put a note here and edit the message. So pre-June 2025. So it basically, let's say Jan 2024 to June 2025 would be a great study if you want to like study essentially.
Nice.
Yeah.
Would you be like passive in wanting to, I think we can all say that growing follower count is a goal for sure. You got to get your message right and get your target right and all that. But should you be passive and just focus on it by, like you said, providing value and interesting stuff? Or should you be like active and like call to action type stuff to follow the account?
Yeah, so definitely use call to actions. Call to actions can look very different in multiple ways. So like, let's just use this Seed Vault post as an example. Fun fact, Solflare built the Seed Vault wallet in the new Secret devices. We pushed a post about this yesterday. Yesterday. Holy crap, time is an illusion. But the call to action here is drop any questions you may have below. It doesn't have to be like a call to action, follow the account, or, sometimes a call to action for Monkey DAO is reject humanity, return to Monkey. That is, multifaceted in its interpretation, but definitely I like to use calls to action. Let's see if we used it here. Try Solflare swap today. That is a call to action. Yeah, I think that answered your question.
Got it. Getting into more of the algo stuff, which is, I mean, it's a mystery. No one really knows, do they? And it evolves constantly, doesn't it? I don't really know.
It evolves all the time. And it also, it's constantly changing. And Racinki, if I had the X algo, I would leak it. But it's actually pretty public these days. I remember when Elon took it became like sort of a mystery, and then he started releasing the actual algorithm updates. Benny, if you want to follow up with me, I will try to get you some X algo specific tips and tricks. But I would.
Well, like, here's one question, and I don't know if this is known or not known because algo is kind of not known. But let's talk about the accounts that you follow on your account. I've heard different things on it. I read something the other day that maybe this changed, maybe, I don't know, three plus months ago, that, the typical thought is just follow the big accounts. Okay, you get started, you follow Soul Big Brain and, Tolly and, yada, yada, yada. But I read somewhere that following smaller accounts that engage with you is just as impactful. So should you be thinking about when you're saying, okay, I'm going to build the accounts that I follow and manage that? What do you even need to think about?
So I try to think of it more. So like I think of it in two different ways. A little bit of this is anecdotal and a little bit of this is data driven. So like anecdotally, or rather like who you follow and who follows signals to other people whether they could trust you, you know? So
Right.
for me, like I don't have I have less than 7K followers, but among my followers are Solana, and you know, we follow each other. So like that is a real big brand.
Yeah, that's huge.
You know?
That's huge.
But
I'm talking about the people you chose to follow. So you've got like 2,700 followers, which
right.
I hear things about
exactly
like the ratio between the two and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So where I was going with that was I follow people back. I follow people or follow people back because I find their content valuable, or I want to see what they're posting, or I want them to recognize, right? And I will follow people back that have tiny little accounts because they're adding value in my comment. I think that's a big thing that like people are kind of shitty about. It's if you see someone replying to your content every day and they're adding value in some way, they're making you smile, they're inspiring you, they're, you know, giving you some educational tidbit, follow them back. Like the like I personally think that's the right move. But the last thing I would say is I consistently cull my followers, my following. So every 2, 3, 4 months, like I'll go and see who's inactive. I'll go see who I don't agree with anymore. You know, I don't have too much more to say on that other than I think like the conversation bit is the biggest takeaway. Elon's algorithm wants you to be in conversations with people. So the more you actually converse, the more your account will grow.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm just going to interrupt real quick, this because we do have other questions. I can pass it off to you closer to the end, if that's all right.
You should never take my mic off. You know that. Okay, I'll shut up. I have some more questions, but I'll save them.
Yeah.
I'll say one. I'll close with one thing really quick. And Maurice has hit it on a couple of times. And I see so few people do this. And it has to do with the conversation. You're right. It's clear that the algo, you know, likes conversation. But people post stuff and they don't leave an opening for people to converse. They'll make a statement. It's like, okay, whatever. But end your stuff with a question. It's so powerful, and I see so few people do it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I don't do that enough. And I think some of my best performing content is the one where I ask people a question. Let's put that. Let's see if that's no. It's a great point, though.
Yeah, it's just, and again, it's such an obvious and easy thing to do. And I mean, not every tweet with a question, but you should definitely provide an opening for people to start to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll shut up. This is awesome. Thanks for setting this up, and I've learned a ton. So thank you.
You're welcome, brother.
Oh, Satoshi wants me to chill sleepless. So I guess I got to throw that out there.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Thiz. Very handsome Moonseller asked, how should one balance main posts versus reply guy?
So I think that the main, like the timeline posts, like I like to curate the timeline. I'm a firm believer in like curating the timeline. I like to gallery almost. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but I think like if you had to prioritize one or the other in the beginning of the phase, I would prioritize replying. But a good balance would be at least 1 or 2 posts in the morning EST and in the afternoon EST, and then focus on replying otherwise.
Awesome. And then Giannis, just to skip ahead for one of the grantees, for looping product GIFs / micro demos, what's your go-to motion tool and how long should they be? 5 to 10 seconds or longer?
For looping product GIFs, I feel like I need a little more insight. Like, Giannis, can you unmute and talk? Is that possible? For like Lulo's vids. Like so like UI UX kind of example videos. I'm guessing that's what he's talking about. Yeah, okay. So I always operate under the assumption that people are lazy and not going to actually read or watch what you do. So that's where the microwave meals concept like comes into play a lot. I think like under 30 seconds is the best. But like 30 seconds to a minute would be the max length for something without someone talking. So if it's just like only UI UX examples, like 30 seconds to a minute. But if you're gonna have a narrator, someone doing like a walkthrough, that should be under 5 minutes if possible, but don't restrict yourself and end up not getting the message across that you want to get across. Also, Benny, I'm in no rush. I'm okay. I can give another 15, 20, 30 minutes if we need it and we have questions.
Amazing. We'll keep going while we have questions. One personal question I have that I know one of our grantees asked us is, what are your thoughts on KOLs and KOL campaigns? It felt like in the past with CT, it was essential, but personally, I feel like that's been changing. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think I think how I feel. There's 90 I'd go ahead and say 90 to 95% of all influencers are a waste of money and time and effort. I'm a firm believer in relationship building, and if you're going to work with a KOL or a content creator, which I think there are a bunch that are reputable and really great at what they do. Top of mind would be like Fabiano, Ashen, Juicy, Noon. There's a few others on Solana specifically that I like a lot. But I think like generally speaking, if you have a small budget, you should not waste your time or money on paying other people to tweet about your project. Last comment on that is oftentimes it's transactional. And if it's a transactional relationship, you're not going to end up getting the results you're seeking. I know I said in my last comment, in 2021, the project I was with that brought me into Solana full time, we ended up paying a ton of influencers and it drove no result and ended up just costing us a lot of money. So I would generally avoid it. Now, the one time, I guess I had a lot of, I think one of the times where it becomes really useful is if you've kind of hit a plateau and you're trying to reach new viewers. And I would kind of take that a step further and say, like, if you're gonna engage with KOLs, try to do it with ones that you think are reputable and will help you reach an audience you can't reach on your own.
Awesome. And then Adrian asked, how important do you think the use of memes/gifs is for personal branding?
Massive. It doesn't have to be like personally branded, but definitely massive. I mean, I would go ahead and say memes in general are valued. I think everything is anti-mimetic until it becomes mimetic. Crypto was not cool and was other until it wasn't, and now it's cool. So, I'm a massive proponent of memes. You could take a look at my profile, and I mean, my GM announcement was a meme, and a lot of the other stuff I do, like this Contado made a meme of me. Like, I love this. This makes me smile and laugh, and like, fuck, man, I'd love to have arms that big. But like, yeah, here, friendly reminder, another meme, pixely meme, and like, guys, I am an artist that can't draw. Like, yes, I have some Photoshop skills, but like, I can't draw for shit. And I am able to make a lot of stuff that I want to make without having to pay someone else to do it for me. But here we go, more memes. And then I know on my highlights, you're going to see a ton of memes too. I mean, fuck, man, even my own headshot is a meme. Solana Boston asked me for a headshot, and I was like, I'm not giving you a headshot. Because I think at the end of the day, like, we can't take ourselves too seriously, and we need to have fun, and people react better to that. So yeah, I hope that answered the whole meme question.
Yeah, Giannis actually linked a tweet of a video, and Moon was asking how you create these. If you want to check that out.
I'm looking at the meme now. Oh, how do I? I'm looking at the wrong thing. Sorry. Is it on my screen now?
Yes.
Screen Studio. Oh, well, this video was made by a motion designer. So that actually is not something I can guide you too well on. But Screen Studio for UI UX tutorials, After Effects, Adobe After Effects for video motion stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, Moonsettler, that definitely requires more skills than I have to create on my own, for sure.
And then Bloody B asked, and this is actually a great question, for the X algo, best practices regarding outbound links and posts.
So links and posts are going to crush your engagement, but unfortunately, you also need to post links sometimes, like to your website or to your app. So in those scenarios, what I try to do is get as much engagement from friends as possible. So like if I'm if I for instance for Lulo, when we posted like a new app update or like a link outside link, we'd share it with all our friends, all our partners, all our investors, all our, integrated partners. Like, just try to do as much as you can to get other people to boost it for you. And that should be really, really beneficial. Give me 1 second. I hope that answered the question. Give me 1 second. I just need to check something. I'm getting pinged in Solflare Slack. Slack, not even Discord. 1 second. I'm so sorry.
You're good. That's how you know it's super important. When the pings come through on Slack, then it's an emergency.
Hi, Benny.
Hey there, Mousy. How are you doing?
Oh, we're not an MMS, so it's a good day.
Good day. You have any questions for the very handsome and smart Maurice?
Currently, I'm just working and listening to his voice in the background, so it's just a very pleasant background noise.
It is very soothing, isn't it?
It's also nice to hear your voice. Got all these great people, coming in, asking cues, learning some new stuff.
All right, I'm back. How's your ankle? Achilles.
My Achilles it's fine. My calf is tiny. It's like a baby calf now.
Aw.
And I need to go to PT as soon as possible.
Sorry. I hope you get better soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really do.
For the external links, Maurice, would you recommend if, for example, you have a thread, you don't want to put it in the first tweet, obviously. Do you think it makes a difference if you include it in the thread when you post it all together, or would it be better to reply to a thread from the same account with the external link?
So that's definitely a strategy I've used before. I think we've used it together before. I totally support that strategy. The one thing that you need to be conscious of is just, giving that first tweet enough time to breathe before you reply with the link. Sometimes, though, formatting wise or strategically, it makes more sense just to have the link in the first post because, again, if we assume people are lazy and aren't going to read everything, then they can't miss the link that way, right?
Yeah, makes sense. We are coming close to the end here, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but there was a great question from Maldo I wanted to throw out there. If anyone has any remaining last-minute questions, feel free to throw it in the chat. Maldo asks, what do you think about Bonk's strategy and content plan, especially the content and positioning?
Yeah, so, I don't know exactly what their content plan is, Maldo. What I can tell from their current, from what I know about their strategy and what I've seen about their strategy, I like it a lot. I'm a fan of Bonk, and I think they're doing a good job, and they engage with the community, and I think they're brand positioning as the Solana meme coin or the Solana dog is pretty powerful and useful. And I think their heavy use of video is really powerful. And yeah, I love this. This is fun. Getting artists to do custom bonk stuff is great. I love the memes and the GIFs. I think they're really fun and super powerful. And this is brand building, right? Bonk fun, bonk, it's the same thing. This is more powerful than we would realize. Now, good bonking morning. I would probably do more with this post. Maybe add emojis, emoticons, or just I've been a firm advocate of making your GMs more creative. But for someone like Bonk, they have massive brand power and almost 500,000 followers. They could do almost whatever they want, and it's gonna work. But a great way to kind of see how some companies are doing their visual communication strategy is to go to their profile and then go to media, and then you could see kind of what they do, and you could tell it's all on brand. The dog is always orange. It's always reinterpreted well when it is reinterpreted. Bonk is also doing a good job of expanding to other platforms. They have a pretty good Instagram presence. I'm pretty sure their TikTok presence is getting better as well. I hope that answered the question, but Maldo, if you want to add a follow-up or anything else to that question, I can try to add more color. I don't know if that answered it.
I think that was a pretty good overview. I think the media section on profiles to see how others are utilizing graphics and their branding is a great point. Chrissy asked, and somewhat related, any experience, thoughts / advice on bridging between social channels like X, Instagram, TikTok, etc., bringing in
Yeah.
the normie community?
Yeah, that's like still uncharted territory for most crypto companies. And I know like specifically for you and Flojo, like I know what your goal is and I know what you're trying to accomplish. And it's definitely like I'm not gonna lie and tell you there will be no hurdles. It's gonna be a little difficult. What I think is important is trying to incentivize followers from one platform to go to the other. You could incentivize them in a multitude of different ways. But I think making sure that each channel is communicating with that audience in the way that that audience will receive it best, right? So, like the way that Radium speaks to degens is not the same way that Wells Fargo speaks to their account holder. And I think like how Radium or even Solflare, right? So like how Solflare talks to people on Twitter is going to be different than how Solflare will talk to people on Instagram or TikTok, because those audiences and those demographics and psychographics are different. So I think that's important as well. Understanding your audience and how your audience changes from platform to platform. So like X, I don't think you need to worry about the demographic, psychographic, age groups, and that kind of thing. But for like IG, it's heavily millennial. It's heavily, older millennials. It's lifestyle branding. It's visual, photo heavy. TikTok, it's brain rot. It's Gen Z and Zoomer. It's no need to have consistency. No need to have a singular vision. And then on Twitter, you do need consistency and a unified approach, and you do need to like know how to talk to this crowd on like the crypto essentially. So I think that I hope that helps. I'm just checking the messages. Oh, cool.
Yeah, I
Sweet.
think that was a good
Yeah.
overview. I think we're going to close up. We are 15 minutes over, and I know you are a very busy man. Thank you so much, Maurice, for joining, being the first ever host to the Foundry sessions and Monkey DAO Foundry. We'll have a next one next week with Flojo. Super excited about that. If anyone has any other questions, should they reach out to you, Maurice? Are you open to discussion? What's the best next steps?
I'm super happy to answer questions. I'm way less active in Discord these days than I am on Telegram, just due to the manner of my work. But that's my username. It's the same on Twitter. Benny, those questions you had given me, I actually was like literally writing out answers. So I can do some basic answers on that doc and share it with you. So at least like if we didn't hit all the points you wanted to hit, you could have that as a resource for the grantees. And then the other thing, sick GIF, sick. Love this this Solflare G for G thing. Yeah, like I like helping people. I'm a firm believer in rising tide lifts all boats. I've given more than I've received, and the results are I now have a life beyond my wildest dreams, and I am so grateful for where I am today, and it's in large part because other people who had more experience were willing to help me. So I'm willing to help everybody. I'm super fucking busy, but I'll make time when I can, and if I can't, I'll try to introduce you to the right people or the right groups. I think Monkey DAO is a phenomenal source, and everybody in this chat right now can get access to me if you need any advice. So with that, I'll leave it and end the presentation, and just want to say thank you, and I appreciate all of you, and looking forward to seeing everybody grow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, and again, huge shout out to Maurice. Very OG monkey on the exec team, on the Build with Monkey DAO team, a honorary member of the Gen 3 team as well. Definitely been doing a ton for the Monkey DAO Discord and Monkey DAO as a whole organization for a long time now. If you want to send over any of those answers to the questions, we're going to be putting out a thread overviewing this whole session. We'll be putting out video content as well as just other educational content that I'll reach out to you in DMs and we can organize. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Throw on those notifications for Monkey DAO Twitter as well as the Monkey Foundry Twitter, because we do have a big session coming up with Flojo. If anyone has any questions, any suggestions, any advice, this is the first episode, so we'll be always iterating and improving. But we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate you all, and excited to grow together. Later. Bye.